If you're a front-end developer or a content author working on a headless CMS, this video might resolve your biggest frustration while working with headless CMS. So right over here, you can see that we are having a dotCMS instance, which is providing us with this data, which we could use to dynamically render on our front end. So we are having title, description, and image. And as a front-end developer, I'm using this data to render this layout right over here, and everything looks good. But the biggest problem arises when someone from the content team or marketing teams come in and they say that they want to change the styling. Maybe they want to enhance the font size of this title, or maybe they want the image to be rounded. And that's where, as a front-end developer, you see that for every content or style change being requested, you have to go and make some changes and then redeploy your front end. And for content authors, they also observe that whenever they want to change some of the stylings, they have to bring in the developer so that they can make their changes. So both are dependent on each other, and this leads to the biggest problem. But believe me, this is not the case with dotCMS content style editor. So you've got the problem. I will provide you the solution, but before that, let's roll the intro. Okay, so dotCMS content style editor is the feature by which you can give the power of changing your styles at runtime to your content authors and designers. For learning more about content style editor presented by dotCMS, you have to go to their official documentation, which is at dev.dotcms.com, and over here you have to just click on docs, and then you have to go to your development side of things and then just click on SDK and libraries, and over here you will be having @dotcms/UVE, which is the official package for your universal visual editor. And over here you will find a detailed section of your content style editor right over here. And this is where you have the all information of your content style editor. You can read a lot more about it and just see that how just with small changes in your front-end code, you are giving the power to your content authors and designers to go and change your styles at runtime. But for now, without wasting our time, let's go and create a new headless project with dotCMS and see that how we could leverage the benefits of content style editor presented by dotCMS. Okay, so far what I have done is I have set up a headless project using dotCMS in my favorite front-end framework, which is Next.js right over here. And I've also created a custom component, which is hero card component, which will be having the title, the description, and the image. And to be very honest, the styling is not there right now, but we will be, I would say, styling things according to our own needs. And now if you just come to my dotCMS environment right over here, you can see this is what I've created so far, which is the hero card component, which will be having our title, our description, and the image right over here. And the same component is being displayed headlessly right over here. Now, since this is headless, we also have to go and write a custom React component for rendering the data which is coming from dotCMS. So if we just open the terminal right over here, you can see in my LazyBeam instance, this is the component I've created in which I'm having title, description, and image right over here. And these are being displayed right over here. And to be very honest, the styling is not there, but let's go and style this thing according to our own needs. So let me just open the Google right over here. Let's open a new tab and let's go to tail blocks. And now this is where you could find a lot more, I would say, sections which are styled using Tailwind CSS. So let's search for hero section right over here. And you can see on my left side right over here, there are a lot of hero layouts available by this side, which is our tail blocks, right? So let me just select this one. This one looks good to me, but there are a lot more options which you can play with. But I will take this one and just go to view code. Over here, let me just close this one and click on view code, and let me just copy this. Now this is obviously HTML, so we need to convert this to React. So let me open a new tab and let's call it as like JSX to maybe like not JSX, but it's HTML to JSX, it's HTML to JSX. And then let's just click on this and let's paste our code over here, and this will give us our React code. So let's just copy this and come to our terminal, and over here, let me just paste the code right over here if I can. So let's paste it, and now this looks good to me. So now let's go one step forward and let's just delete the previous one right over here. and let's just save it. And now once this is saved, I think we are good to go. And now if you just come to your Chrome side of things, and if you just replace your front and next application, you can see right over here the layout looks a lot more nicer as compared to the previous one. All we have to do is to just provide the data which is coming from dotCMS on the backend side, right? So let's go to our terminal again, and now what we can do is we can just come over here, and instead of a heading 1, we need to remove this one, and just replace this with our title. So let's call it as title over here. And for our paragraph, let me just remove this one, and just place the paragraph, which is our description coming from dotCMS. And for the image, all we have to do is to just come over here, which is our image section, and inside this source, we just need to remove this, place some curly brackets, and over here we can call our image loader function, which is available in our utils directory. And then inside this we have to provide source, and over there we can just call like image.identifier, and then we have to provide the width, and the width for R is like 720 pixels, right? And once you save this and go to your Chrome, and the moment of truth, this is the data coming from dotCMS, which is our title, our description, and this time the image looks a lot more nicer. And regarding these buttons, I guess what we can do is we can for now just remove these buttons because we are not dealing with them right now. So let me just remove this one, and we are good to go. Right, so that's how our stylings work. And now this is the moment of truth where we'll be going and understanding how we could provide the power of changing the styles at runtime to content authors and designers by using the power of dotCMS content style editor. So let's start designing that stuff. Okay, so now let's say the scenario is quite simple. One of my content authors or maybe designers comes in and they say they want to change the font size of the heading right over here, which is saying welcome to dotCMS. And the option is quite obvious. I have to go into code and maybe change the classes, but every time they request a change, I have to change that thing. But let's say by using the content style editor presented by dotCMS, you can provide this functionality at runtime to your content authors. So let's see how we can do that. So the very first thing you have to do is to just come to the official documentation of the content style editor, and all you have to do is to just install the dependencies. Now we have already done that because we have already scaffolded our project using the dotCMS create app CLI. So these packages are already there. So you can skip the first step. But the second step is that you have to create the schema right over here. Okay, so let me just copy this thing over here and let's go to terminal, and I will be keeping this schema into my util section right over here. So if you come to utils directory, let me create a new one and let's call it as hero card. Let me spell that right. So it's hero card style editor editorschema.js. So this will be our hero card style editor schema, and let me paste the code over here. All you have to do is to just change this according to your own needs for the component you're targeting, right? In my case, I will just rename this to like hero card underscore style and then underscore schema. So this will be my hero card style schema. So once you have defined the name, what we can do next is that we want to define the content type which we are targeting. In our case, the content type is not blog post, but it's our hero card thing right over here. And then we can define different sections. So right now, let's say our first section is regarding the typography, in which they will be having a drop down in which they can select small, medium, and large. And based on the value, the font size of the heading will be changed accordingly, right? So I will call it as like the ID. The ID is basically the identifier by which we will be grabbing the styles coming from dotCMS. So I will be calling it like font dash size dash heading because it is the font size of heading. And then for the label which will be displayed to our content authors, this should be like font size of heading. And then for the labels and the values, all I have to do is to just maybe call it as like not small like this, maybe it's small like this. And then for small, what we can do is we can just call it as like text dash, and we will use our tailwind class which is 4xl, and we'll be using this class, and then we'll be having our medium, and then we'll be having our large. So let me just delete all the stuff. This will be like medium, and this should be text 5xl. So let me just call it as like 5xl, and then this should be our large section. So for This I will call it as large, and then this will be text, not 4, but this should be 6XL. Okay, not this one, but it is 6XL. Okay, so that's how you define your, I would say, style editor schema, by which you are telling dotCMS that what types of field you want to provide to your content authors and designers so that they can change the styling of your, I would say, content at runtime. So once you have defined your hero card style schema, all you have to do is to register the schema at your entry point of your application. In our context, the entry point is our page.js component, and over here you can see that we have already two schemas which are already present. Number one is activity schema, the second one is banner schema. But what we have to do is to just register our third schema, which is our hero card style schema right over here. And once you have registered that stuff, and if you come to your Google Chrome and the moment of truth, if you just go to your UVE, let me just go to your site and then your pages and inside your home page. And now if you come to your UVE and if you just click on this icon, which is your, I would say, panel for opening your content style editor, if you just click on this, you can see right over here, we are having that typography section right over here in which we are defining the font size of heading. And now over here, we'll be having three different values: small, and then medium, and then large. And now obviously this won't take effect because we have just defined the schema, but we are not using the styles which are coming from dotCMS. For using those styles, all you have to do is to just come to your, again, to your terminal, and inside your IDE, let's go back to your hero card thing right over here. And inside this hero card, you will be having an attribute which is called dotCMS style attribute. Let me just find the right word for this. So if you just go to your activity component right over here, if you go to your top, you can see that this is the keyword right over here, or this is the object which is coming from dotCMS, by which you can go and grab your styles by using the same identifier which you have defined while defining the schema. So let me just copy this. Let's go back to my hero card component right over here, and all I have to do is to just paste it right over here, which is our dotCMS style properties. And then over here, we will grab our styling, which is our font size for our heading. So let me just go back to my activity component and let me just copy one of the lines from here. So I will be copying maybe like this one, and then we will go to our hero card component and just paste it over here. And this time I will call it as like the title. Let me call it as like the font size for heading, and this time we have to use the same identifier which we have defined. In our case, let me just see what that was. So let's go to our hero card style, and that identifier right over here, you can see that it was font size dash heading. So let's go back and let's call it as like font dash size dash heading. And then the default for me, I think we should keep it as like maybe text, and maybe call it as like 3XL. So let's go for 3XL as default, or maybe let's call it as 4XL because that's the smaller one, right? So the smallest option as default. And now once you have your style defined, which is coming from dotCMS, the next step is quite obvious. You can just use the same styles into your JSX right over here. So if you come over here, you can see that we are already having these styles which are coming, which are predefined. All we have to do is to just construct a string and place it over here. So let me just maybe like paste a string. So let's call it as const. We can call it as like styles for heading, and this should be a package string. And let me just copy all the styles which are over here, which is inside this heading, and then let me just cut all these, and let's delete this from here, and let's just paste them right over here, but not here, but over here. And now once this is defined, what we have to do is to just use the styles right over here. So let me just delete all these. We don't need these, which is our this thing. So let me just delete all the styles related to our text, and then we can use our $sign and then curly brackets over here, and then just close it. And inside this, we can use our font size of heading, something like this. And once you have placed your styling in this form of string, all you have to do is to just use the same string at your h1 right over here. So inside this, now this time it will be a style coming from the React variable. So it's style for heading. And now once you save this thing, you are good to go. Now, if you just come to your browser right over here, you can see by default, the styling has been changed accordingly because we have set it our large attribute. Now for the moment of truth, if you just select small, you can see this heading goes to small. And if you just select medium, the heading goes to medium. And then if you select large, the heading goes to large. And this is how you are giving your content authors the power to change your styling according to your own needs. Okay, so at this point, you might be wondering that you can achieve a lot more with this content style editor represented by dotCMS. So let me just show you that what you can really do with this content style editor. If you just scroll up over here, you can see that section right over here. And if you just click on the content style editor of this component, you can see that this is having a lot more sections. You're having typography, you're having layout, you're having buttons, and a lot more. So over here, you can see that you can come over here, you can change the title size like to maybe like large, and then you can make it bold, italic, and then even you can go to the layout, you can make it left, you can make it center, you can make it even right over here. And then if you just scroll down to your button section, you can maybe change the color button to green or maybe to red. So over here, you are having a great glimpse of what you really can do with the dotCMS content style editor. So for understanding all these options, all you have to do is to just come and read the official documentation, which will give you a lot more options which are available in dotCMS content style editor. And now if you just come to the terminal, which is my IDE, and let me just open over here, and if you just use that style editor feed and you just click dot over here, you can see we're having checkbox by which you can go and create a checkbox type. You can have drop downs, you can have input fields right over here, you can have even radio buttons as well. So these are all the input fields by which you can provide the power to your content authors so that they can change the styles at runtime without calling you into the picture. So that's all the, I would say, stuff related to dotCMS content and style editor. Hope you're liking the content. If you really want to learn more about dotCMS, so hop on to our community, which is at community.dotcms.com. So see you on the other side.